and welcome to the ThroBak Guitar Lounge Podcast, episode 45.
Ooh, the deep radio voice.
We're going to go for it today. We've got an exciting episode of exciting pickups to listen to and guitar riffs to figure out, and
the lightning round.
we're going to do a lightning round, but backed by popular demand. We've listened to our viewers. They enjoyed the lightning round, so we'll do. It'll be a grab bag of issues or topics.
There's topics that all guitar players will find fascinating to argue about in this little box here, cut into little ribbons. Okay, Matthew, we've set up the show, and we're gonna go. Should we go right to the ThroBak mailbox? You've organized the mailbox this week.
Yeah, I spent hours going through the questions on the last episode, and there were some interesting topics.
It's hours?
It took me hours. But
Okay.
wait a minute.
Oh,
Someone's here. Wait a minute. I think we have breaking news. We're going to scrap everything that I did for hours. We're going to go directly to this breaking news for everyone. We should have a
Holy
ticker
moly.
tape.
This is breaking news right here on ThroBak
This actually says
Guitar Lounge Podcast.
for John Gundry's eyes only. So I'm going to have to hand this over to you.
Oh my gosh.
This is breaking news, everyone.
It's from Christie's auction house. Look at that. Right there. Well, I don't want you to see the
don't see all
price
the-
we paid for this thing.
The Christie's auction house.
Okay. This, wow.
Rockefeller Center, New York
This
City.
is exciting news. You know, everybody heard about the Jim Irsay auction.
Mm-hmm.
This came through the email because it's confirming that we purchased ThroBak Electronics, what is probably the most important item of this whole deal. The
I
Jim
think it
Irsay
is.
auction.
Of all the items they sold,
Okay, so
how many millions of dollars did you spend on this item?
That's a secret. So, okay, now there'd be an argument that the rarest guitar of the Jim Irsay auction are the two big ones that sold, which is the black Strat, David Gilmour Strat, right?
Right.
And what's the other one?
Well, the biggest ticketed item was Jerry Garcia's Tiger.
Was that more than the Strat? No.
No, the black Strat. I think it realized. I think the take home price. I think was either between 12 or 14 million. The Garcia was about 9 or 10 million, and then the Cobain Mustang went for about 5 or 6. I think.
Okay, but we purchased. So these are one of a kind. Well, you could say that their association with the celebrity, they're one of a kind guitars. Except the Wolf guitar, that's one in existence, right?
Mm-hmm. It's one
Okay,
of one. Yeah,
so
custom.
we purchased ThroBak Electronics. Should I just describe it? And this is one of the rarest items in the whole collection that we think went largely unnoticed, except for Matthew's keen eye
You
in
can thank me.
going through the auction. You were just doing it for the heck of it, right? Not expecting to find this.
No, because I think we just came up in conversation because I said, "Oh, wait a minute, what's going on with the Irsay auction? That's coming up." I think I sort of lost track of it. And go ahead.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
And so I went to the website, and it's such a huge collection that Christie's broke it down into actually a total. It's going to be a total of 5 auctions, but there were 4 auctions last week. So they had 3 live auctions and 1 online auction.
And you found this item that is particularly important to ThroBak Electronics. Should I read it right now?
Sure.
And we'll show these. It's not arrived yet. It is being packed right now to be sent to ThroBak Electronics. Actually, well, yes. Okay, the description from Christie's auction house. A pickup winder. Electric Instruments, Fullerton, California. Does that tip you off as to what this might be? Wooden base with a Dayton motor, counter, and custom winding mechanism affixed to a pickup bobbin mount. This is, according to the was it the Fullerton Museum?
Well, there's 2 connections. This item was on display at the Fender Museum in Corona until its closure in
Their
2013.
claim, though, is this is one of 2 surviving machines from the Fender factory, winding machines. We will show it to you now.
Show us that.
ThroBak
pictures.
Electronics has purchased this. It's a very expensive sewing machine motor, but it's an important sewing machine motor.
Historically important.
This motor, it's obviously set up with a custom sort of mandrel setup that is typical to Fender. And according to the auction records, this is a machine that was owned by Charlie Davis. And Matthew, a former Fender employee, and Matthew, show us who Charlie Davis is here. We'll
put that in front of my face so you can.
Okay.
Now this is actually an ongoing exhibit that is happening at the Fullerton Museum Center, if I'm getting that name right, in. Where is that? That's in Fullerton, California.
And it says Charlie Davis, or the man named Charlie, Fender's unsung hero. So we were at the auction, or no, we weren't at the auction. We were at NAMM.
You're at NAMM,
and you just stumbled across this because they had a booth there.
We walked into the show, and the Fullerton Museum Center had a little booth, and I was aware that they had either a permanent exhibit for Leo Fender or something was at that center. So I went over, and there was about 2 or 3 people from the board, I think, that were manning the booth. And they said, well, we don't have a typically a permanent exhibit, but we always have some kind of an exhibit. We have a Leo Fender gallery, and it varies.
And this is their exhibit of the moment.
Yeah, that started late in 2025 and it'll end in December 1st, 2026. So it's a year.
Yeah, we did not go to this exhibit.
Unfortunately, we did not.
And we went to Disneyland instead with Paul. Well, in fact, Paul's here. Let's say hi to Paul.
Say hi to Paul.
Let's ask him if he would have rather seen Paul. Would you rather have gone to Disneyland or seen the Fullerton Museum exhibit about Charlie Davis?
Maybe I would have rather see the museum.
Come on, I'm not believing you. You wanted to go to Disneyland. We did it all for Paul.
Oh, I did. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay, so back to the winding machine here. Go ahead. Were you going to say something?
Well, I was going to say what happened though is that we left the show a little bit about 4:00 on the Thursday, and we could have gone to the show. I kind of forgot about it because they gave us free tickets to the exhibit.
Oh, did they?
And on Thursday they're open late. They're open till 8:30 or so on Thursday. And there's only 2 miles from Anaheim, so we could have just taken the Uber up there, taken a quick look around. But
okay.
But go ahead.
Yeah. So anyway, this machine it was owned by Charlie Davis, and the exhibit at the Fullerton Museum has the second machine owned by Charlie Davis. These are Fender machines that were created at Fender. Mm-hmm. And the second machine is still in the custody, well, I guess the ownership of the Fullerton Museum, we assume, and is on display right now. And in their display at the Fullerton Museum, they say do you have the description of how they describe their machine and the second one?
They say, I don't have the exact wording, but they say this is one of 2 machines that are in existence. So I don't know who wrote that or who did the research on that.
Yeah. So the story with these machines it's well known that original Fender hand wound pickups from the 50s were hand wound with this style of machine that was powered with a rubber band. I know that sounds silly, but the rubber band is part of the. They felt that the rubber band was actually kind of key to winding these,
really?
And to avoid stretching the wire or breaking it.
It wasn't too stiff. It was
So the rubber band, which is broken on this machine, we'll have to find 50s rubber bands for this, is broken. But there are old pictures of this style of machine being used. And the second machine, which I don't have a picture here, that is at the Fullerton exhibit, is the machine, kind of iteration of this machine that you can see in the video or the film of the factory in is it 1957? Is it 58?
Somewhere in there, late 50s.
And because there's an online video that shows little snippets of activity in the factory there. This it seems to be a earlier version of this machine that Jim Irsay purchased that originally came from Charlie Davis. And Matthew, you hunted down the story of how Charlie Davis took these from the Fender factory.
Well, yeah, Charlie Davis's career at Fender is interesting. He started, I believe, in September of 1957. He would have been, I think, 20, maybe 21 years old at the time. He had been working as a mechanic, and he had some ability as a musician. He was where he took lessons, that person was a Fender dealer, and they thought that his talents were being wasted as a mechanic. They said, let me talk to Leo, and you should work at Fender. So he went over with this recommendation, and Leo Fender hired him on the spot, and he started out doing cutting panels for amplifiers and then putting tweed lacquer on the covering on the amplifiers, and just worked his way up through the various stages. And he got to a point where somewhere in the 70s, he became the sort of head of the service department.
And the service department at the time was kind of the equivalent of the custom shop today. Custom requests, celebrity sort of setups, celebrity requests, repairs were done through that service department.
Yeah, he would do like final setup for instruments, like musicians. They said the list goes like Buck Owens, Jimi Hendrix, Frank Zappa, George Harrison.
So he progressed through the company to the point where I assume he kind of knew every step of the process, and therefore in the position kind of the custom, what was the equivalent of the custom shop then, he could handle just about anything that came in. And part of his setup there was to have a couple of pickup winders.
Because he would do rewinds for celebrities like Dick Dale.
So these were in the equivalent of the Fender custom shop. And at some point, there's a history with this where the service department was changed management to some other. Yeah,
I think somewhere, I think it says in the late 70s, according to the museum information that they have on display, that Fender opted to sell the entire service division to a Chicago-based company called the Music Dealers Service. And that whole experiment fizzled after about a year. And then the people who worked in that department were told to come and get your equipment and your tools, because they were going to...
Or they're going to go in the dumpster.
They're going to go in the dumpster.
So Charlie Davis took his entire workbench and these two winding machines, this winding machine and the other that the Fullerton Museum still has, and brought them home. Mm-hmm. And when he retired...
He retired in November of 2001.
So he kept these at home. And when he retired in 2001, he used these to kind of do an at-home...
Yeah, they have cards at the museum. It was like Charlie's pickup winding service. And he would have musicians that would just come to his house, like tour buses, they said, would come right to the house, and he would do the work in his garage, and sometimes have impromptu jam sessions with some of these characters. They said one of the ones was Cesar Rojas. Is that?
Yeah, Cesar. Yep.
From Los Lobos, which I think maybe is
Actually, he called me once.
Did he?
And I thought he was calling with a question for, which pickups to buy. He had a question for winding pickups.
Oh, really?
He winds his own pickups, and
he's seen enough.
He must have seen this. So he knew Charlie Davis.
He knew Charlie Davis.
Then he maybe kind of got the idea of doing that just because he saw it done at his place. Yeah, but yeah, Cesar called me and had questions. It was kind of cool, really.
There's another contact with this, but then somewhere along the line, this machine was either purchased or given to Mike Eldred, who was the manager of the Fender Custom Shop, because Mike Eldred was the one who sold it to Jim Irsay, and that's how Jim Irsay got a hold of it.
Yeah, and go ahead.
And Jim Irsay only got a hold of it on. It looks like it was acquired, according to the Christie's information, it was acquired on April the 16th, 2022.
Okay, and we didn't go to the Fullerton Museum, but we found a video online, and there's a picture in there of Charlie using this machine
At his home.
And when I'm looking at this, I'm trying to determine, you're trying to think of like at what stage of Fender's history was this used and created. And if you compare it to the other machine that Charlie had, the other machine is more refined and looks like the machines that you see in the 1958 video. This looks like it's a prior model, looks much more weathered, and it appears to me as if they were trying to work out some of the specs because there's a piece of wood that's been added underneath the mandrel part of it to boost it up a little bit, which I'm going to wait till I get the machine, but I'm wondering if that was added when they made Strat pickups, because a Strat bobbin is just a little bit longer base than a Telecaster bobbin. So they were working out, I believe they were working out the specs with this machine. It's obviously very old. There is one added hole in the front of the base of this that looks newer, and the
one with no stain on it.
Yeah, the one where the wood's not as weathered. And we figured that what that is for. There's a picture of Charlie Davis using this machine, and he had fashioned sort of a wire spool holder that was a large rod bent into the kind of the shape that would allow it to be held by that you could run through the middle of the spool, wire spool, and it was attached in to that block there, and this entire mechanism was screwed to the top of the workbench. And you can see there's a little set screw for the rod that he drilled the hole for there. And from that photo, too, there was a little thing of whiteout, liquid paper, that was on a shelf while he was working. And there's spots of white here on this. And I was trying to figure out what would be the purpose of the whiteout. And I thought, well, maybe it was to write, his name on them or the resistance. But I think what that probably was for is as a coating for any rust or corrosion or compromised lacquer on the magnets when he was doing a repair.
Just put it on and cover it dry quickly.
Because it's a quick drying paint, and it would insulate the magnets to prevent any future corrosion. And I think that's why it's kind of, you can see drops of it by the bobbin there, kind of the front of it, and that maybe it kind of slung off of it a few times in little drips. Anyway, all of those details, I don't know. They're really cool. When we have this machine coming here, and if it works, which it should, and if it doesn't, I think it's perfectly doable to get it working. But we'll be making pickups on this thing. Now, it's not as sort of crazy important a detail as it would have been for mechanical winders in terms of Gibson or even Fender when they started going to mechanical traverse or automated traverse. So, but it's still got this, it's got this rubber band drive and the speed of it and all of sort of any sort of variation in the run out of it. That's all baked into this. And those are the little details that do add up to a difference in how things are wound, even when you're hand guiding it. So, but anyway, the cool factor is pretty undeniable for us. And, but some of the details that make me think this is probably a very early machine are the little booster block for the mandrel. The later ones have a steel post that holds the mandrel bearing and housing. And this one, the back of it, and if you look at some closer pictures, even with the paint, It's obviously ash. I'm assuming this is just a piece of a Telecaster or broadcaster body, before it was cut out.
Be curious to see the bottom of it, if that was painted or if that's bare wood.
Yeah, and the other hole on the front of this is for the power cord. At some point, someone decided to put it on the back. I don't know what would have been attached to the back of that. If I had to guess, I would guess that, again, this is completely a guess on my part. But in the thinking of Charlie Davis being there for years and knowing the history of the place, also being the guy that it was kind of in the custom shop equivalent, he saved this machine and the other to do work. And if it were me and I knew the history of the place, I would save the oldest one as well. And to me, this looks like that. Mm-hmm. I mean, it looks old. It looks older than the other one in the museum. Yeah, like the counter is, if you go to the Fullerton Museum video, the counter is not as sort of weathered as this one. This is an older looking counter. But anyway, I think as far as rarity from the auction, this is like one of the most important things, isn't it? It's got to be.
Well, of the hundreds of items they sold, you could make a very good case for that.
So I maintain that ThroBak has the most important collection, electric guitar collection, in terms of we have bookended the whole Winder machine deal, and there is no electric guitar Gibson or Fender as we know it, solid body modern electric, that started in the 50s without these machines. Even though that's hand guided, these are the actual items that produce the pickups that without there is no electric guitar sound.
It's the voice of the guitar.
So,
well, what's interesting about it is of all these things that you could buy at this auction, there's probably nothing else that you can make something with.
Well, that's right. Yeah.
You can make something new with this thing.
Literally, we'll have the machine here.
This week.
Hopefully,
tomorrow's Friday. But.
Yeah, this week or next, that had the bobbins on it that was making this stuff. In fact, I even have a very early Duosonic pickup. One of the details with these is that I don't know if you're going to see it in the picture here, but the way this is mounted is it's threaded into the fiberboard. So the hole on the fiberboard, there's a center hole in the fiberboard of a bobbin of a broadcaster, Telecaster, Strat pickup bobbin. Mm-hmm. And there's a variation between, with vintage Fender pickups. Sometimes you can actually see the threads going into that fiberboard. And then sometimes you don't see threads, and that we've assumed that's because that had a machine threaded rod that was a little smaller diameter that passed through and had a nut on the other end to kind of stabilize it to the mandrel. Well, so our Duosonic pickup has an old Duosonic pickup I have, like first version of the Duosonic. It's got the little threads on it. So this is possibly the machine that bobbin was on. And when it arrives here, I'm going to see if it spins right on there, and I bet it will.
Oh, that'd be cool.
And the other
get that on video.
Yeah, the other machine that the Fullerton Museum has doesn't have that same threaded setup.
It doesn't.
We don't. I don't believe so, because it has plates to go over the other side of it. And so I think it's a smaller machine screw with a nut on it on the other end to kind of you put the plate on and put the nut on, and then it holds the bobbin on there. That's actually how I've got our machine set up here for hand winding. That's how we do it with the Quico. And the Quico machine actually is documented to have, by Fender themselves, said they bought it in 59.
Really? Okay.
And I think they bought it in 1959 because for for Jazzmaster pickups, because the bobbin for a Jazzmaster pickup is so shallow, hand winding it's kind of pointless in the sense that you can't really see what you're doing. Okay. Did you have more super secret information about this that you haven't shared, Matthew?
Let me go over my
You
notes real
teased
quick.
this a little bit. Before we go on to the next item of the show, was there more, or?
Well, I think there's still a little more research to do. If we can reach out to Mike Eldred, who now has his own, he's left Fender and now he has his own guitar company. And he must know some information about this machine.
Okay.
And then we have to get in contact with the people at the Fullerton Museum.
So we've got...
So there's a little more research to do.
There's one more machine so there's two machines that were confirmed to have been from Fender. There is one more machine that I think is maybe a little questionable because it was sold... It was on Reverb.
6 years ago, this one.
Denmark Street Music in London, which I don't know if I'm right about this, but I think they've had a history of selling things of questionable origin. I don't know if I'm right about that, but I remember that came up a while ago, and it was a similar looking machine to the one in the Fullerton. So maybe that's a third one that's out there. But what we think happened was with this machine and the other in the Fullerton Museum, there's two machines that Charlie Davis took out of there, that it was basically an employee taking it home because it was going to go in the dumpster.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason it was going to go in the dumpster, the reason it was probably at the service center, is because it was taken out of the main factory by Charlie when he was setting up the... as a tool to use when he was doing repairs. And then over the years, these just disappear because they're not really in use. The Fender's now all automated machines. Mm-hmm. And so the only two remaining are in his possession at the service center. And then when they say they're going to go in the dumpster, he brings them home. And then it makes its way into the Jim Irsay Collection. And... ThroBak Electronics buys it, and it'll be making pickups again.
We put it back into service, like 11 years ago when we got the KZ LP winder from the Les Paul auction.
Yeah, Les Paul took that out out of the Kalamazoo factory, and we ended up with it. And you can actually see Les Paul didn't use it, but he saved it. I think,
that's important.
He saved it because I'm assuming because he knew the history of that machine there. And obviously Charlie, I think that's the same with this. Charlie Davis knew the history of it and brought it home instead of going in the dumpster, and continued to use it. So we have an item, what we feel is the most important item from the Christie's auction, a Jim Irsay auction, coming here either this week or next week. All right. Paul, what do you think of that? Huh?
I think it's great.
Okay, are you supposed to? I'm just glad you're done talking. Okay. Okay. Well, let's see. What's next here? We're gonna
pickups of the week.
Pickups of the week. Okay, we're going to do pickups of the week. This and fitting of this historic Fender machine that is now going to be winding pickups here at ThroBak, assuming we can get it working properly. It probably is working properly right now. Just need to put a rubber band on it.
Have to get the right vintage.
So we're going to play. I'm going to play. I've had customers ask about this. When are we going to make a 1959 era style Strat pickup set? And I have a prototype, and I actually have the bobbins all made up for this. It's just one of these things that we're busy enough that I have to kind of work getting all this done in the cracks of the time available. But I have a prototype set here. It's of course, befitting of a 59 Strat. It is hand wound. And we will play that now. So Matthew, you get your bass, I'll get the guitar, and we will be right back. All right, we're back, and let's show the pickups here. I have this in a Mexican-made road-worn guitar. It's just one of the test strats I have. It has the Pau Ferro fretboard, I believe, so it's not real dark. But these sound really good, though. I think I mentioned this with the Baja Telecaster. Of the ones that I have, there's something a little extra with the Pau Ferro. Although I do prefer the Rosewood. But apparently the Stevie Ray Vaughan,
that's true, it did.
Strat had Pau Ferro before it was a thing for the Mexican-made stuff.
Yep. Because
he preferred it in the testing that he did for that guitar. Okay, so this is a prototype of our 59 Strat style set, hand wound with Alnico 5 hand beveled magnets that are done just like they used to with these have a custom made Arnold USA made Alnico 5 in them. So let's play that a little bit. Okay, let me make sure I got everything. And now this guitar does have tone control on, but I'm going to just play it clean and dirty with the tone up all the way. And the test set is 6.3 for the neck and 6.3K for the neck and bridge pickups and 6K for the middle. And the specs, I may change the specs a little. Still kind of experimenting as to what I feel the sweet spot is for the resistance for them. But let's go to the amp cam here. Matthew, can you read off the settings on the amp there?
Okay, so it's in the vibrato channel.
79 Deluxe reverb.
The volume is at about a little over 2. Treble is about 5.5. Bass at 6. Reverb. Oh, you think you're not using the reverb?
Yeah, we're using the reverb in the aux box. And let me show the Nobels ODR1. That is the settings. I have the bass up full for the trim for it. And the settings are just a little bit different from the way I had it set last week, but pretty close to the same.
That's not a live camera, so it's not on.
No,
right now.
no. I took a picture and loaded it in there before.
Right now, there's no overdrive on.
Yeah. Okay, let's go ahead and play. All right, ready, Matthew? That's a neck. Middle.
nice.
I think we've talked about that as much. Look for the T59. Or not
coming.
T59. 59 set for Strat coming up sometime soon here. I got to do the webpage. Finalize the specs. But it's going to happen. And maybe they'll be wound on that machine.
Oh, that'll be
That
interesting.
Fender, that old Fender machine that Charlie Davis saved. Okay. Let's put these away, and then we will go to the Guitargument. All right, we'll be right back. Okay, we're back, Matthew. Should we go see what Paul's up to?
Yes.
Okay, Paul. Matthew wants to know what you're up to. Matthew and I want to know what you're up to there.
Anything new over
I
there?
am assembling a double slug, a DS55.
Oh, wow.
Okay,
To
is that your favorite pickup to make, Paul?
No. It's
Yeah,
not my least favorite.
Is it close?
I enjoy making every pickup immensely.
Okay, those record. So
This one's entertaining because it's different.
okay. Okay. All right. Well, so the DS55 is our version of the patent drawing PAF that did not have adjustable pull screws. And sort of some of the details of it. Do you have the base plate there, Paul? And the screws? Okay, so so the base plate has large screws for large sort of sheet metal screws that Gibson used for the prototype of this. And we use it for, they're the same screws that are used for P90s.
Mm-hmm.
And that big piece of metal in there, it acts as a little pull screw when it's put into the bobbin like that. So they, not only the fact that they have two slug bobbins makes them sound different, actually a bit more telly-like. The large screws that they used also have this effect of being a kind of an extra pull screw. Because they're sizable screws. They're the same screws in a P90.
Yeah, those are large screws.
So, okay. But he's making that set for Daniel of the Pedal Show.
Oh, really?
Yep. He contacted me, and he's got a Shabbat guitar. I think that those are destined for. So that's kind of cool.
Little YouTube
Maybe
cross-pollination going
yeah,
on.
maybe they'll show up in a video. That'd be kind of neat. Okay, man, so we've got a lightning round Guitargument.
I have
And
the
you
lightning
have it
round
right
box.
there. And this was kind of fun last time. I don't know what the questions are. I think you had a quick look at them, but you've probably
I forgot.
wiped that from your brain so to keep this fair.
Exactly.
Okay.
No favoritism. We're
So let's see
cheating.
how this goes right now. 5 minutes.
So I'll pick
the
the first
lightning
one.
round Guitargument. Go.
Okay, here. Well, I got two here. I can't have two there. Okay. Can tone be bought or only earned?
Tone be bought or earned. Oh, what do you have an opinion on that, Matthew?
I would say that tone has to be earned.
I think it can be bought to a large degree in the sense that you can, if you're educated about what to buy,
Okay.
you can buy the items that are required to achieve a tone. So if you're educated enough to know that a Telecaster tone is this,
Mm-hmm.
a Telecaster tone with brass saddles is this sort of variation of Telecaster tone, and the steel saddles is this other. If you're familiar with those characteristics, yes, you can buy the tone, but I think maybe you can't buy technique,
Technique cannot be bought.
which is a big part of the tone.
But I would argue even that tone in terms of understanding, it has to be earned. It just takes time because
I guess you're right.
I've been in guitar stores so many times, and you see some young guy or the dad and his son or daughter, and you have to really hold yourself back. You almost want to go up to them and say, "This is what you need to do," but then you'll just come off as some kind of a crank lecturing somebody because they have to understand. They have to go through the process.
That's true. You do kind of have to discover, like what, even if we're talking about, if you're even just talking about the amps and the guitars and the pickups and the effects, you still kind of have to discover what those things are, and how you can use them.
And what's interesting about it is that some people approach it so many different ways that somebody comes up with something nobody else had thought of, and they discover something completely new.
Well, you can upgrade your tone by purchasing. Let's say
yes, you can.
Let's say you're familiar with a Telecaster, and you know that it's not just the shape of the Telecaster. It's also the other parts and pieces that maybe are associated with a certain era, and that you can buy that.
Yeah.
Whether it's pickups or the style of tailpiece. Again, I mentioned the saddles. But yes, that would be you can buy that. But the technique, and I guess you're right, the experience you cannot buy. You do have to discover that.
You have to go through and discover it on your own, which makes it fun.
Yeah. That's like the big fun of it.
Yeah.
Isn't it? I mean, it's frustrating. It's frustrating up to a certain point when you're learning.
Yeah.
But then it's fun, and then it's frustrating if that's frustrating if you want to buy it and you can't find it. Actually, this used to be the story, I think, of every guitar player that didn't live in a big city. And even if you lived in a big city, before eBay and Reverb, you were at the mercy of the local guitar store, what just was available there through what they had used or new. We lived in the days where you would have to pay for the case separately.
That old trick.
So it's like you want the fries, but you got to pay for the carton to put it in. It's not fair. And then we also lived through the days where if you had a classified ad, you wanted to get class. You look at classified ads in the paper, and this happened to me so many times. I would call early, what I thought was early on a Saturday. And a guy would say, "Oh no, there's going to be a guy here in 15 minutes that said he will buy it." There would be guys that would be calling like at 5 a.m. and tell the guy, them on the phone "I will buy this. I'll be there. As early as you want me to be there." And the odds of getting the item were very low. And I even went to a place where I'm sure they put stuff in the classified and told me they had it as bait to get you there to see the other stuff they had for sale.
The other junk. I wonder if people...
You want to know what's funny about the other junk? The other junk was a black panel concert amp. That sounded really good, but I was like, I don't want it. But now that would be the other junk would be desirable now. We've hit. Let's do more. That's already 5 minutes. What were you going to say?
So that was that. How old was that amplifier? Then the concert that was from the 60s. So
that's before they started putting. I think that's very early black panel.
So
before they started putting.
So 64 or 60.
Yeah, I think it'd be 64, 66. Maybe end of 63. Yeah, I don't know how long the concert was made for. It sounded really good. But it didn't have they don't have reverb. I
just thought of something when we were talking there. Do you think the people who were the biggest go-getters, the hustlers, they would go down to the printing place where the papers were coming out and get one right when it was coming off?
I wouldn't doubt it. I seriously wouldn't doubt it.
There must be some. They've probably figured out where can I get the competitive advantage? Get the paper right when it's coming off the
there was a certain
press.
There was a guy in town here too, and I assume every town had this too, where they would spend all their time going to garage sales looking for, well, they do it for guitars and classifieds for guitars, but they also do it for jewelry. Mm-hmm. Is Randy Disselcone still in town?
I don't know that name.
So the Randy Disselcone was one of these guys locally that would show up to every garage sale, and he would buy people's jewelry, and he made a lot of money off it and started his own jewelry store.
Really?
Yeah, it was right over there. Well, it was right over, you know that mall where Guitar Center is?
Okay, yeah.
Across the street.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Do you remember it had like an R
Yeah.
shape for it? That was that he had a very elaborate jewelry store made up that was in the shape of an R. Kind of 2 tiers that had windows all over it. Remember that?
Yeah,
Is that still there? It's gone, isn't it?
The building's still there, but I think it faces north, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, the building's still there, but I think that jewelry store is gone.
Yeah. So you had people that their purpose in life was to get this stuff before you.
And he got good enough that he opened up a
real store. Yeah. Okay. Let's go to another one here. Okay.
What do you got?
Hendrix Today, boutique gear guy or still Strat purist?
Wow, that's an interesting one. I remember seeing that one. I haven't really thought about it, but I think he probably would be experimenting, don't you think? If he was, he would be looking for some kind of way of kind of expressing. I think he would have progressed through and maybe gone on to.
Well, he'd still be playing the Strat to some extent because it's such a signature part of what you associate with him.
Yeah, I mean, look at Buddy.
But
Guy.
Of course, yeah, his trajectory is experimenting.
Experimenting. Did you see Buddy Guy on the Academy Awards?
I didn't.
They did the song from the movie Sinners, and
you had mentioned that, yeah.
And so they had what's his name? Chris, is it Kingfish? Ingram?
Yeah. Yes, yeah.
If I'm getting his name right. He was up on stage with his signature telly, and Buddy Guy was there, and there was one other guitar player, and I can't think of his name right now. But it was a huge bunch of people on the stage. But it was cool to see Buddy Guy, he's older than Jimmy, I guess. He'll be 90 this summer in July. But what do you think? You think Jimmy would be?
You mean like obsessed with boutique? No, who?
Do you think he'd be playing some kind of a totally different instrument? Or
I don't think it would be boutique stuff.
Do you think he'd be using fan frets and 7 strings, 8 strings? Or?
I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, it is sort of like the Nah, I don't think so.
Just a Strat and a Marshall?
I think so. I think his hippie ethic would be that he's still going to play stuff that's accessible to people that want to play. That would be my guess. You know, not too elitist with the boutique stuff. Maybe. That's my guess. Well, we don't know, though. We won't know. Okay, so should we do one more here? Do you want to read? You pick one.
You pick one? Or have we done enough?
Let's do one more.
Okay, hang on. Let's see if this is a good one for the cool down, maybe. Oh, here we go. Acoustic only sets, brave or boring?
Acoustic only sets, brave or boring. Let's ask Paul. There you go. Paul, acoustic only sets, brave or boring?
Boring.
If you're at the concert and they go to that little small stage and they all go acoustic, isn't that the signal? It's time to go to the bathroom right now. Nothing exciting is going to happen.
Well, okay. I'm sorry, Paul. What did you say?
I said if it's the opening act.
Oh.
If it's the opening act, they're gonna.
Well, we didn't have quite this experience. We had, but we had. I'd say for someone that is hoping for electric and they go to an acoustic set, they're not happy.
What were you thinking of?
Well, I'm thinking of when we went to see John Mayall.
Well, that was the ultimate bait and switch. That wasn't even acoustic.
We had the worst John Mayall experience.
We saw him exactly once.
I bought tickets for all you guys.
Yeah, we all went to Holland to the Park
because
Theater.
Like John Mayall's going to be in Holland playing
at the Park Theater.
At the Park Theater, and it's a small venue, so it'd be like really cool to see him there. I played the Park Theater once with.
Did you really?
With James Irsay, yes.
And I think do they still have one? There's Who's the pedal company in Holland?
Cusack?
Cusack.
Yeah.
Cusack Music has a Park Theater
Yeah,
pedal. I think they still make
Yes.
it.
Yeah, oh, that's right. They like did acoustic sort of profile of the building, and I think that's the
Was that what?
that's one of the settings is that room.
Oh, cool.
Okay, so he John Mayall showed up there. We got advance notice for the tickets. I bought tickets for everybody because what's going to be cooler than seeing John Mayall when you love guitar?
Sure.
And then was it the day before, like 2 days before the gig, he announced that their guitar player had quit, and there was going to be no lead guitar player.
He spun it as a new venture into sonic territory they had never experienced. Because they couldn't get a new guitar player, obviously, which is kind of crazy because you think you could get somebody. Come on in.
Oh my!
Here's a gig for you.
So disappointing.
So they had just a 3-piece. They had the
so they had a bass player, John Mayall, with a little tiny electric guitar. Is
some Gibson with a
it's a
P90.
some sort of short scale Gibson, and he didn't even attempt lead guitar, did he?
No.
No.
He would switch off, and he had his keyboards too.
Yeah, he was playing keyboard mostly, and the poor bass player
had to do solo after solo after solo.
It was so. I mean, he was great bass player.
Yeah.
But you felt so sorry for him because he was trying to make up for what everybody came there for, was to see the John Mayall band with a great guitar player.
He has, I mean, look at the history of guitar players he's had play for him. So in the old days, he had Eric Clapton, Peter Green, Mick Taylor, and then in the more recent vintage,
Coco Montoya, Walter Trout, Buddy Whittington.
Mm-hmm. So it's like guitar player after guitar player, and those parts are so famous. They're just part of the blues music culture.
Also, the cool part of it is too, you get to see each guitar player has their interpretation of these iconic guitar songs that are associated with that band. Oh, such a bummer.
That was kind of sad.
Okay,
I will give one plus to an acoustic artist who I didn't know who he was at the time. So I took my girls to see Taylor Swift, and one of the openers they had multiple openers. I think the lead opener was Ed Sheeran, and I didn't know who he was. But he just got up there with his little mini Martin or whatever he had with his loopers and things, and he put on a pretty good show for about a half an hour. So that was kind of wild.
No, that would have been impressive if John Mayall did that. Just him and a looper. Yeah, we didn't even get that. Okay, all right, Matthew, we're going to go to Rorschach Riffs.
Okay.
You are going to. Let me just get the guitar here. So you're going to play a Fender Broadcaster 70th anniversary reissue with ThroBak Broadcaster A3 Classic pickups in it.
Okay.
And I'm assuming that's what you're going to do. You were practicing with an electric guitar. I'm assuming this is not a bass.
This is a guitar.
This is a guitar riff. Okay. Let me get it right now.
Okay.
I will just do the drum roll and get the thing. Okay, let's get this thing hooked up for you, Matthew. Okay. You'll get a tree here. I was tuning these up, and this is a very fat sounding guitar. Like compared to a Strat, it's pretty notable. The Broadcaster A3 pickups, very fat sounding. Okay, you want a little distortion? Is that going to work for you?
I hope so.
Okay, let's check in with Paul here first. Paul, what you're looking at covers? Okay, so I want you to see him do this. This is the kind of attention to detail we get here at ThroBak. Paul staring at covers. He wants to make sure that absolute perfection goes out the door. And I will give you an anecdote concerning this. Aaron at Collings called me with questions about plating for some of their parts. And his comment to me was he wanted to ask me because they have parts that they have made specifically for them. And he said, our plated parts are the best as far as, well, the best is, if anything that comes through there with aftermarket parts.
Nice compliment.
Because of this, look at the dedication.
Well, we should also show you the all the ones that don't make the cut.
It's true.
It looks good at first, but
yeah, no, I mean part of it is that we do have aged parts, but people do not know this. So if they don't make the cut with Paul for shiny, they're going to be aged. But people do not realize that we're very persnickety about the aged parts because we put them through a process that is not totally predictable.
Right.
And so we kind of have to go through this again for sorting out the age stuff after it goes through, I guess it's the second step of the process. So, you're getting highly scrutinized pickups at every level of the whole process. I mean, okay. Matthew, I've interrupted your riff.
I've been
thoughts.
I've been meditating on the first. The first one's a little tricky. I think you'll get it, but to do it, and I don't know how much. I'm just going to do what I've been practicing, but it's a little tricky.
Okay, so this is 4 riffs.
Popular ones you should.
Popular rapid succession, of which we should know these.
And
yes?
these come from a variety of genres and periods, but I think you'll.
Okay.
They're pretty well known.
Let's check and make sure Paul's ready for this. Paul, you're ready for the riffs?
I am.
Okay.
Very ready.
Keep working there. Okay. We're gonna let me get to the okay.
Ready?
Oh no, what shoot. People need to see you riffing.
See that guitar there.
Okay.
Here we
go ahead. Yeah, you know it.
Hang on.
Okay, yeah. Luckily, it's very distinctive, even with
my mess up.
Your mess up, yeah. Okay.
Hang on. Here we go. Next one.
Oh my gosh. You've done this before.
I don't think so. I hope not.
Haven't you?
I don't think so.
Oh, maybe not. Okay, go.
Hang on. This isn't tricky. This one's a little tricky one too.
Hold on. I know it all. It's okay. Actually, I've had a conversation with one of the writers for this.
I think you have.
Yeah, he's actually a ThroBak customer.
I think you sold them a pedal.
Okay, go do it again because I caught these except for number 2. I'm totally stumped. Paul, we can hear you.
He's laughing away.
Okay, go ahead. Oh. Are you going to sing along, Paul? Okay, well, you've been working on that one.
Hang on.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So, okay, number 2. I think I have an inkling. Paul, let's check in with Paul. Paul, do you have any ideas here? Don't say them yet, but do you know any of these?
And there's
Sixth grade talent show.
No, come on. That's awful harsh. Matthew, you don't have to put up with that.
Well, that first one, there's too much going on.
Okay.
Now, the one of them has a Grand Rapids connection.
Well, that's what I thought, and that's number 2, isn't it?
That's number 2.
Okay, so that's what I thought. Okay, now play it again, and I'm not sure. I think I know. Okay. Yeah, I was right about the band.
Name of a record, too. It was a title track from the record.
Oh, I'm not going to know that. Okay, it's
also the name. It incorporates the name of a famous American state.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Oh, that's okay. All right. Yeah, now I know. Okay, well, good. Then I've got them all, I think. Okay, Paul, let's give you a chance first.
One of them's Thunderstruck.
Okay.
And I don't know the names of the other ones, but I do recognize all of them.
Okay.
Well, eventually I recognize the first one.
Okay, I will go ahead through these, Matthew. The first one is "Long Cool Woman in a Black Dress" by the Hollies.
Correct.
And the reason I know that is because that is the first thing I asked my first guitar teacher to play to teach me.
Cool.
Except I had it pretty well worked out
beforehand. That's
beforehand.
Oh, that's pretty impressive.
In fact, I think he asked me no. In fact, I think I had my first lesson with him. He asked me to show me what I knew, and I played that, and he said that's pretty good. So I had worked that out. I think the transition from the riff to the dun 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 dun, I hadn't really kind of figured out or had got the timing right. But okay, the second one is Red Hot Chili Peppers' "Californication."
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Then Red Hot Chili. Well, let's see. The lead singer, what's his name?
Oh my God, you just blew it out of my mind when you said that. Anthony Kiedis
is a Grand Rapids native, and my mother-in-law went to high school with his dad, Blackie Dammit.
What was the last name?
I think it's Blackie Dammit. Was that his stage name?
Oh, really? Oh, it was the stage name?
Yeah. He was in the National Lampoon movie.
Was he really?
What was it? Was it some Halloween movie or something, or some school movie? Yeah. But my wife was with her mother in the mall and saw him there, and they said hi. And I
didn't know.
And my wife worked at Hudson's, and Anthony Kiedis was buying something there, and waiting for the bag, what do you call it, the package pickup.
Okay.
And he was right in front of her in line. And he has a apartment right across the river from us. Apparently, in the old Union High School.
Right.
And do I know anything more about that? Oh, and I think years ago when I did photography, I think his mom was a receptionist at one of the law firms that I did photography for.
Yeah, she did work at a law firm in town.
And I just recognized her because I think they had a local TV thing about his mother retiring or something.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh, that's the lady at the law firm. She was very nice, actually. Okay. The third song is "Thunderstruck" by AC/DC. Yes, Paul, you got that correct. The fourth one is it's Aha.
The band Norwegian, right? Or Swedish?
And it's "Take on Me."
That's correct.
And I saw them in concert with my girlfriend, now wife, Betsy.
Where, in Detroit?
In Detroit. I thought it was at the Fox Theater, but it was some other theater there.
on the.
And they were really good. I was going because it was kind of like, I'm her boyfriend. I gotta go.
They were like a.
It was, but they were actually they played their instruments. They were really good. And the guitar player, forgot his name. He played a green, I guess it would have been a Super Strat then, or would have been maybe it was a green Eric Clapton Strat. It had the, it had least sensor pickups in it.
Really?
Yeah. The guitar player has purchased a Strange Master from us. So that is the
I wonder if it's still on his
connection.
board. You should
Here, I'm gonna show you how I play the first song, Matthew.
Yeah, you play.
I don't want
Need a pick?
I don't
You got
want to
one?
shame you, but I'm just going to do it. But now watch, I'll totally flub it. I did flub it. There. Okay.
Now the little tablature that I found they said do this. They said go to go.
That's probably right.
But there they go. Just hit it.
Yeah, I'm. That's just what I figured out. Like, right, but I'm
That's
probably
pretty good.
playing it quite wrong. Maybe I'm not playing it quite right. I don't know. Okay, so Matthew, do you have anything to use musical
I do
about?
have little musical music.
Should I take the guitar?
I'll give you the guitar. I
All
forgot
right.
we have the musical music. So I thought about bringing this up. Maybe it fits in well with our pickup winder story and getting the old pickup winder from the Jim Irsay auction at Christie's. But in this issue, I think just came in today. I thought, maybe it's time to talk about this. So this is the April 2026 issue of Vintage Guitar Magazine with Dave Mustaine on the cover.
I think this is the only pertinent guitar magazine anymore. Don't you kind of feel that way?
I think it is. I don't know what else.
I mean,
what else is out there? They covered just about every genre and everything. Oh, there's actually two articles on old G&L. They do an article on one of the guitars, and then there is I've got it marked here. So they do a little 6-page, 8-page spread called, and we can see that, Farewell to G&L, and it sort of tells
it tells a whole sad story.
the sad little story of them.
Does it tell the dumpster story?
It brings in the dumpster, people going through the dumpster in last September, October, when they were clearing out the
Yeah, there is a
buildings.
winder. There's a winding machine that was Leo's winding machine from there in his little lab. That where the heck is that? And it was still made in that same similar style as the one we have.
It has nice
That we
big
will have shortly.
G&L logo right on the front of it. So hopefully it's out there somewhere that it didn't get thrown away. That someone's got it.
Maybe we'll have it one day. That'd be kind of cool, wouldn't it?
Well, we're in the market, so if someone
If someone's got it, contact
us, we're definitely interested.
Well, you got something there.
So then I thought, well, this. I never thought, that this, I didn't realize what kind of trouble that G&L was in. I was like, it's one of these guitar companies.
You've got one of the rarest pickups now.
Now I have a very rare set of. These are a set of split coil.
Brand
G&L.
new, never used.
They're brand new. I've got 3 G&L. Well, hang on now. I have 3 G&L basses. 2 are SB1s that just have like a precision setup with these MFD pickups. They just have the one pickup in them. And then I have a SB2 that has a split coil, and it has a sort of a jazz style pickup near the bridge. But I thought to myself about 3 years ago, I thought I should just order one of these.
So you contacted them directly and just
I just ordered it off their website. I thought I better.
Oh, they actually had them on their website. Okay.
Yeah, so I just thought I better order one just in case, because they're particular to them you can't just buy these anywhere, but you can buy them from them. So I think it maybe cost me, it was under $100. I think maybe 87. Then maybe there's some shipping. I'm not sure, but I think it was under $100. So I thought it better just
now. The priceless probably now.
It's a good question. I mean, it'd be interesting to know if someone's going to get into the aftermarket G&L business, but I guess probably what's going to first happen, people will start scavenging instruments for pickups because they're probably destined to they'll fail. But I just sort of thought, I should probably get one of those and just put it in my workbench or my little toolkit. Just have it just in case something happens in one of those pickups.
Did they just come in a plastic bag like that?
That's the bag they came in.
They
weren't packaged in a box or anything.
They just came in a little plastic bag.
It came in a little plastic bag and in a padded envelope. So nothing special. And they showed up within, I think, about two, 3 weeks. So it wasn't any problem.
Oh.
But I just thought, and now it's like, they're gone. So, and Fender owning them.
Let's show them closer to the camera there. Put that right in front of your face. They can see.
I'll separate them.
There they are.
And I can take one of the covers off here. So that's. You can see it's a ceramic.
We're taking a real close look at these. Let me see one. They've got it's vulcanized fiberboard, right? And ceramic magnet under there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Kind of their own variation on the kind of original design, but without the Alnico. And they've got a little steel plate under. Interesting.
Yeah. And I assume that only one pickup has the ground, I guess, but that I assume is the ground. But the color, I don't know if there's even a, I don't know if it has a little diagram. I just assumed if you were taking them out,
just follow the old one.
Take the cue from the old ones that are in there.
Okay, is that it for your musings, Matthew?
That's it. Okay, that's it for my musings this week.
Let's do the outro. What have we learned from today's show? What has the audience learned?
That nothing's for certain, I guess. You have to take every day.
Explain.
And be
what?
I'm going to get philosophical now. But you know what's interesting?
I see. I would think it's like anything can happen.
Anything can happen
in a positive way.
Yes.
We've got a Fender winder, the authentic Fender winder now.
But you have to be grateful
from
for
the factory.
And now
perhaps one of the very first ones.
But now you have a huge amount of responsibility. You have to, as the curator and the caretaker of that.
I said it's. I really mean it. I think it's. I think we have one of the most important electric guitar collections in the world.
Because we are the caretakers of the voice of these vintage instruments.
We
can recreate their voices.
We have the items that were responsible for the creation of the electric guitar pickup in the Fender solid body and Gibson solid body era. We've got both of them. Well, we've got all of them
in some
except
capacity.
One known to exist.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, two. For the Gibson, to his credit, Seymour Duncan recognized the importance of the Leasona 102, the machine they have and still have. And Gibson still got some Meteor machines, but that's it. And they've changed them. But we have the most complete set now, and now bookended with the Fender. The birth of the Fender electric guitar pickup. Right here. Wow.
So looking forward to
cool.
Unboxing that package.
Yeah. That's right. We will have to do an unboxing video, won't we? Okay.
Thanks for watching.